Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and today we are going to continue our series of paragraph alignment buttons and menu bar items in Google Docs, and we're going to look at bullets and numbering, because occasionally you'll have a document that has a list and you just want to make that list stand out in your document just a little bit more. So we're going to look at several examples of how to do that. Now, if you're coming from Word, you'll find that there are some similarities and some differences between the two. So we'll try to highlight how Docs works and maybe talk a little bit about how it's different from what you see in Word. So let's look at our first example. Let's start with an unordered list, meaning that while I've looked at the trees outside the window here, and I've seen what our neighbors have by way of trees, I've just kind of typed them in as I've seen them in no particular order. An unordered list means that I could move, say, that silver maple to the top of the list, to the bottom list, some other place in between, but there's no significance in where it is placed in the list right now. Also notice that our list lines up very nicely on that left margin, but with bullets that may change. So if I have a list and I want to add bullets and all of those trees remain on one level, that is called a simple list as well. So let me select all of these tree names, and then I'm going to go over to the right at about 6.5 inches on my ruler. I have a button that's called Bulleted List. It has little dots, and then the lines to the right simply mean there's text to the right of where you see those dots. And for a simple list, I might as well just click the left side of the button like that. Now when I do, notice that the spacing between the different trees comes closer together. It's not a space and a half anymore. It's more closer to a true single space. And if we look at the placement of that text, well, first of all, the bullets are at about 1/4 inch off of the left margin, and the text is about 1/2 inch off of the left margin. So anytime you add bullets, you also know that you're going to indent that list so that it is easier to find visually. I've reset our original list back to how it first looked, so there are no bullets and all of the tree names are lined up on that left margin, because besides the toolbar, we can also add bullets through the menu bar. Let's see how that looks. So I'm going to select all of the tree names yet again, and this time I'm going to go up to the menu bar, and about halfway over in the middle we have Format, so we'll click Format, and then about halfway down in the bottom of that first section we have Bullets and Numbering, and you can see that we could create a numbered list or a bulleted list. Now the bulleted list already shows you that if you have more than one level of information, that it even shows you the next couple levels that you might want to choose. Well, again, we're just going to go with just that little round kind of basic bullet, and if we keep all of our information on the same level, then it's only just that little circle. So we'll click, and again, not only do we have the bullet showing up on the 1/4 inch, away from the left margin, but the words are all showing up about 1/2 inch away from that left margin. So either the toolbar or the menu bar get you the same results, so it just depends on what you prefer as to which you will choose. Instead of typing a list, then selecting that list, and then adding the bullets, some people prefer to start their list knowing that they're going to add bullets, so they click that bullets button first and then as they type, the bullets are added in. Let's see how that would look. So first of all, let me come to the end of craft supplies to bring to our meeting, and then press enter. So I'm starting in a blank line. And then I'm going to go to the toolbar where the bullets button, the bulleted list button, is around the 6.5 inch mark, and I'm going to click on that button, and immediately I have a bullet at about the 1/4 inch off of the left margin, and you can even see that the text is going to start at about a 1/2 inch. So all I need to do is start typing. So let's see, craft supplies. So let's see, scissors, and when I press enter, it immediately comes down to the next line. Notice that it also automatically capitalized that first word in the phrase for that first bullet. So besides scissors, let's say glue, press enter. Let's add in paper, and we also need some glitter. Now, when I press enter after glitter, it takes me down to the next line, but that line has a bullet. Well, I don't want the bullet. Here's the thing. All I need to do is press enter a second time, and it takes me down to where the next line where I would want to type is, and now I can complete my document, and I don't have that extra bullet to worry about. I don't have to turn it off. All it is simply pressing enter twice. If I decide that I would like to add some more items that go in this list, let's say between glue and paper, I want to add in something else, I don't know, markers maybe. Well, to do that, I can click after glue or right before paper, either way, press enter, and now I can type markers. In fact, let's come down here before paper, and I could even start typing magnifying glass for some reason. And I could press enter, and it moves paper down with its bullet as well. So several ways to enter information in a list that has bullets. Now again, if I come down to the very bottom and find glitter, press enter, I get that bullet, and all I need to do is type in something else, press enter, I get the bullet with nothing beside it, press enter a second time, and I have finished that list. Let's practice this idea of starting with bullets as we create our list, except this time let's go up to the menu bar first. So first of all, we'll go to the favorite pizza toppings, click to the right of that so we can press enter, get a new line, and then we'll go up to format in our menu bar, come down to bullets, and say, yes, we want a bulleted list. And again, we need to select the initial level of the bullets. So I could have the dot, but I could also have a diamond or a square or an arrow or a star or another kind of pointy arrow. But we'll just go with the first one here in the upper left, the little circly dot. And now I can start typing. So let's see, Canadian bacon, mushrooms, extra cheese, and pepperoni. Press enter, and again we get that extra bullet. Press enter a second time, and we have finished our list using the menu bar and format. Let's briefly look at different ways that we can change the levels of different items within a list, and there are about 3 different ways that we could do that. So let's go back up to the first example here, the trees in my neighborhood, where I listed oaks and then even listed some of the different kinds of oaks that I've been able to see in my neighborhood. So let me click in front of pin oak, and one of the things that I can do is come up to the increase indent button, which is to the right of the bullets button. And before we do that, even let's go back to the bullets button for just a second, where we can see that right now we have that kind of solid circle, and if we go in a level, we're going to see an open circle, and then in another level will be a square, and each one of these items that we see, they show you the different top level, and then the next level, and the next level. And you can go farther than that, but at least those 3 levels. Well, let me go to Pin Oak now and go to the right of the bullets button where we have increase indent. And all you need to do is click on it, and we can see that this is now the next level for Pin Oak, that open circle. If I increase the indent again, it becomes the square. If I increase the indent again, it becomes another circle, open circle, and a square. So those 3 level symbols repeat over and over again as I go across the page. Now, to decrease the indent and get back to just level 2, I go to the left of that increase indent button and go to the decrease indent that has an arrow pointing to the left, and I can just click until I get it back to where I want it. Now, bur oak is another tree that should be listed under the oaks, so I can go back again to increase indent and click that wants to increase the indent. Now, I have listed here some more trees that also are kind of subdivided. So I have maples, and then I have both silver maple and red maple. So let me click in front of silver maple, and this time I'm going to use the tab key on my keyboard. And again, I can press tab as many levels as I need to press, or to reverse it, let's say that I go too far to the right, I can use shift and tab. Hold down the shift and press tab as I go backwards in the list. So again, click in front of red maple, press tab, and that is another way that I can get to the second level for this indent. Now, if for any reason I don't like how this indents, for example, I learned that this second level should line up with the text of the first level. So if I click on Pin Oak, I can come up to the ruler and find this kind of rectangular button and move to the left, and it moves the bullet but not the text. So let me see if I can grab the down arrow-ish thing here. Now you'll notice that they both move together, so I'll need to do some adjusting with that bullet. Got a little over enthusiastic. So now, by using the ruler and dragging this rectangle button first, then I can level where I want the bullet, and then I can use the triangle button to move the text accordingly. That can be just a really great tool. So be sure to use the ruler buttons as well. I've moved to a new example where now we can see cities that I've visited recently, because you may decide not to use the ruler, not to use tab, and not to use the toolbar. But if you're in the neighborhood and you like the menu bar, you have options there as well. So as I look at these cities, Blue Summit could really be considered sort of a neighborhood within Independence, just as Lake Lotawana could be considered a neighborhood, although they'd probably object to that, within Lee Summit. So let me click in front of Blue Summit, go up to Format in the menu bar, and then our third choice is Align and Indent. And as I go down this list, I can increase the indent and click, and now we have Blue Summit as a second level. Let me go back, go to Lake Lotawana, go to Format, go to Align and Indent, and go to Increase Indent yet again. Now you'll notice that right below Increase Indent is Decrease Indent in case you need to make an edit of some kind. So Increase Indent, and now both of those neighborhoods, I guess in quotes, are indented properly for this particular list. If you decide that you don't like the circle bullets that we're now using, it's easy enough to select even just Independence. Go to the Bullets button in the toolbar, click the drop down arrow to the right of the kind of default bullet, and choose another bullet. So we might say, ooh, I like stars. and click, and notice how that first level has now changed from a filled in circle to different stars. But if we want to do more than that, what we need to do is go to Format in the menu bar. So I'm going to select, if I can, that top level, go to Format, and go down to Bullets and Numbering. And one of the things we can do here is list options, and then we can say, oh, you know what, I'd like to have a capital A as the first level within my bullets. So I could click the capital A, and it automatically letters all of level 1. Now if I want to choose level 2, I can also click and drag over that potentially and go to Format and Bullets and Numbering, List Options, and let's say that I want a check mark for level 2. Then that also appears all through level 2, and I've very easily changed those symbols. Now I can also go a little deeper, so let me yet again select that first level, go to Format, go to Bullets and Numbering, List Options, and this time come down to More Bullets. And when I do that, I get this long list of different symbols that are possible, sort of different looks to them, but they're kind of small to see. But those are the symbols, and we get all sorts of symbols. So I could add in emojis or punctuation or not so much Latin, I can't imagine, but all sorts of different kinds of ideas, symbols that we might want to add. Let's look at the emoji. So let's put, I don't even know what that is. Looks kind of expressionless. So it's kind of a have a day face. And then we could go to the second level and add in something else. The thing is, though, did you notice that I clicked in front of Blue Summit and it just added that symbol? So let me close that out and backspace out the heart. And let's see if I can't select. Now you have to really click on those bullets. Now let's go back to Format, Bullets and Numbering, List Options, More Bullets, and you know what, let's go with People and Emotions while we're at it. So we could click down, and now I have all sorts of different kinds of people and emotions. Let's see, let's do weather. Let's see what that does for us. And let's pull out an umbrella. Looks kind of like a carrot, really, but an umbrella. So now I have kind of a have a day face for level 1 and an umbrella for the second level. So you can play with those, but as you saw, you really want to be careful to select the bullet itself at the level that you want to change, and then you can go to the menu bar, Format, in your Bullets and Numbering to make that change. Here's a quick tip for something that may happen from time to time. It somewhat depends on the kind of typing and documents that you create. But for example, let's say that I have, this is the first line of text for a bullet, and I even, for that sentence, have a bullet. And then I've decided that I want to continue sort of like a paragraph. So I would put in, this is the second line of text. And the whole idea is that this second line of text is somewhat related to the first, so I don't want to have a new bullet. I simply want to make a new line of text that relates to the first line of text. Well, here's the problem. If I click in front of that second sentence and press enter, I get a second bullet. So let me backspace out. And back to where it was, and this time what we're going to do is hold down the shift key on the keyboard and press enter, and it moves that second line of text down to a second line, but notice that I don't have a bullet, that the formatting of the second line takes on the characteristics of formatting for the first line. Now I'm going to click at the end of the second line and press enter. And now I could add, a new bullet and new information, and it all becomes part of that second bullet. Now let's spend some time with numbering. Once you understand bullets, numbering isn't very difficult. They're very similar. The only thing is with numbering, you have numbers and letters as opposed to symbols. Numbering is also sequential, and it is an ordered list. And like bullets, which are unordered lists, but with an ordered list, generally you are going to show either importance. So the first item is the most important and the last item is the least important, or you're going to actually show steps in order. So first I do this, then I do this other thing, and then at the end, and the very last step is, and so you have a sequence of events. Lots of times menus and instructions for putting something together are going to be a numbered list. So let's look at our things to do today, and let's say that this is just by order of importance. So I could select everything here, and then on the toolbar I can go to the left of the bullets button and find the numbering button. Now let me click the drop down here. So with numbered list, you can see that you have your choice of a number period or a number and a parentheses. You have a number period, but then you have more traditional, maybe even legal kinds of things where it's a particular kind of outline format where you have 1.1 or 1.1.2 or whatever. And then you have some letters, and then you have a number and letter combination with capital letters. And then they even have a 01 and a 02 and small letters, which is a little more unique than, say, some of the more customary kinds of outlines that you might see. But what we'll choose is just this first one. And so now I have, grocery shopping, pick up the cake, and these are really just important things that we need to do. But you'll see down here in number 4, what? I almost forgot. No, that's not really a step. So how do I get rid of that number? Well, I need to just click on that number and select it, and then I can press delete. Now that will change the spacing because it becomes like the text of the document rather than the list. So the line spacing changes, but I could certainly tab over, and maybe that looks good. I don't know, or shift tab. I suppose that's really up to you and how you see what's going on. You'll also notice that the numbering lines up with the bullets that we created earlier. So again, we know that the numbers line up on the 1/4 inch part away from the left margin, and then the text lines up about at the 1/2 inch away from the left margin. Here is a really quick tip. You'll notice that when I changed that, I almost forgot to just text and made it part of the document rather than part of the list, that what had been number 5 is now number 4. And that even kind of makes sense because it continues the list from above. But what if I wanted to restart the numbering so that number 4 is number 1 and starts a brand new list? Well, you can do that as well. So let's right click with our mouse on that rep gift, and then in that shortcut menu you can see where it says restart numbering, and click. And this usually should go back to say number 1, but occasionally you'll just have some quirky thing happen. So you might even restart a list at 2 or 5 or whatever. But in our case, we're just going to restart our numbering back at 1 and click OK. So now I have 1, 2, 3, I have some text, and then I start a new list with 1. Now let's scroll down just a little bit more, because here our peanut butter really and jelly sandwich, these are just instructions of the step-by-step process. So let me select all of that text, because occasionally you'll decide that you don't want to use the toolbar, but you want to use the menu bar instead. Well, let's go to Format, And then we'll go down to the bottom of that first section where it says bullets and numbering, and then we'll go to the numbered list. Now this little drop down shows us that we have exactly the same choices that we had with the toolbar. So I'm just going to select the first one and click. And just as we found with bullets, with this numbering scheme, we can see that the numbers have lined up at the 1/4 inch on the ruler. The text has started at the 1/2 inch, and all of the text, instead of being about a 1.5 space line spacing, it's much closer to just being single spaced. So numbering, very similar to bullets, both of them very easy to accomplish. To learn even more, be sure to go to mymcpl.org/online learning, where you will find our great online resources, which include Universal Class, lynda.com, and Learning Express Library. Be sure to join us each week as we present a variety of tech topics. Each week we premiere 3 new videos. You'll be able to find them at 1 o'clock on Wednesday and Friday, or at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. You can find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, or if you prefer, be sure to subscribe to our MCPL MO channel on YouTube, where you'll be able to find our MCPL Consumer Technology Resources playlist.